wanted the light on the other day. Now the light is on. But as you can see, it's bright and it's night. So this is how we'll do the reading, okay? Um, I got my chai here ready to go. So, if anybody hops in the chat and they do have a question, I'll try and see if we get any responses for you specifically, kind of like I did earlier in today's live. But it's just kind of an informal night reading. I got some like fish playing here in the background. Yeah, I mean, just, yeah. Pick a frequency, right? write it, write it out, write it out. If you're new to the channel, please consider liking the video or subscribing to the channel. And then you'll be informed of future drops. Okay, so without further ado, adieu. Um, let's start with some meditation cards. I haven't used those in a reading recently, which is this deck here. They're just kind of some. This came out in the last time I used it, and this was definitely talking about the shadow work. And shadow work has come up as a theme in the last few readings. So if you resonate with something like that, you might want to check out some of those previous readings. Okay. I thought they were gonna play Ocelot, and then it went into something like different. I mean, that's kind of fun part about listening to some jam band stuff. It's like, oh, what song are they on now? We'll figure it out, right? Meditation deck, intention. What is your intention for the rest of the month of October? Can you believe it's like flying by? Halloween is coming up soon. I don't know if my Halloween outfit is going to come yet in the mail in time for Halloween. So I started thinking about that a little bit before this reading, like, what am I going to do instead for a costume if my costume does not arrive yet? So, sometimes that takes a little outside inspiration. It takes your noggin, right? But then once you connect, like, you can come up with something, like you get the wheels turning, right? Hello to the Python squad. I wonder if they own pythons. Celebrate. I'm a pet owner myself. You can see this is even a bit of an angelic celebration here. So for somebody that may be of significance, like I just ran across a reading that said, like, if you're not smiling or something, somebody could be noticing. But like, when I was at my appointment today and I was talking to the lady and she was like, and you're still smiling. I was like, I didn't, I guess I was smiling when I was talking to her. You know what I mean? It kind of, I don't know, depends on your mood sometimes, right? If you feel like you're in the mood to celebrate, right? So think about what you would like to be celebrating if you are not sure what to meditate about, okay? That could be something fairly easy, maybe to think about. Connection. When you meditate, you might be connecting with God. You might be connecting with the universe. How do you connect the intention of your meditation? Okay. If you have a good intention, then maybe you're going to connect with something, right? And it could be something as easily as like a creative outlet or a community project. One of my college roommates, she's just like one of these community people, knows everybody. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you have that person in the office that just, they know every single person that walks by. You're like, how do you know everybody? right? You know, some people just have a knack for that kind of connection, right? Um, so for some of you, when you're meditating, you're like, look, I'm really busy. I'm working 2 jobs. When do I have time to meditate? Maybe you meditate in your dream space, okay? And like before you go to sleep, you can say, you know, I want to focus on having a peaceful sleep, okay? And that can be part of your meditation practice, okay? It doesn't have to be complicated, right? So, I'm gonna get a drink of my chai here that I made. This place is, the building's still there, but it's no longer this restaurant. Some lady I used to work with gave me that coffee cup at work. So yeah. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get into the conversation deck here, you guys, and see what comes up. Tacos. Yeah, I have not had any taco. Well, I guess technically earlier this week I ordered some. So what do we have for this collective? What messages are gonna come out? What are you doing, shawty? Right? Heart. If you're tuning into a tarot reading, you may have had an intention in your heart space to say, like, you know, maybe there's something else I'm searching for. Maybe there's a heart space connection. Okay, we'll see what comes out with in the tarot with that. Pop up. I feel like this person wants to pop up on you, like maybe a surprise visit to, like, say if you work like the lunch crowd or something, you know what I mean? Like they want to pop up at where you're working at and, like, you know what I mean, order a lunch while you're working there or something, you know, something like that, that they kind of want to arrange some kind of bump in, okay? Um, I'm getting that song, you guys. It's like, stand back, dancing kind of close. Feel a little poke coming through on you, right? It might be that kind of pop up too. I'm just saying. What is the intention? They might be excited to see you and want to celebrate in a special kind of way, but obviously that is up to you. So, yeah. Yeah, maybe you're gonna pop up on them and be like, what are you doing, shorty? And maybe it's because you have a connection with that person, right? It's like, you know, not just because you're bored, right? But because you actually, like, feel some kind of way or something. Ooh, why are you so selfish? If you do pop up on this person, they could be like, what do you think you're doing popping up on me? And like, especially if they're like, like if they're trying to get somewhere, like, you know what I mean? They could be like, you know what? I have a whole schedule today. Like, I don't have time for you to, like, try and be popping up on me. You know what I mean? Like, so, you know, be aware of the time that you're investing or not in this situation, okay? I think if you're good-hearted and your intention is kind of pure, you're going to be able to make the connection. But just be prepared that this person may not be as receptive as you hope that they that they may be, right? Or they just may have some kind of, you know, worldly chip on their shoulder, right? Like, you know, maybe they got overcharged today at the gas station and they just feel like the world is against them. You know what I mean? Like some kind of thing. And it's not like, anything against you personally. What was I saying earlier? Oh, this is the news one now. I thought this was the invest one, but it almost kind of looked like this, the IN, and then it almost looked like a VS, and then anyway. You can have any man or woman that you want. So this is kind of like you may be somebody who is able to connect with many people. Okay. So this connection card may be, in terms of like a human connection, right? Not just like a spiritual connection or, a theoretical connection, right? Maybe you're somebody who actually does know a lot of people. Maybe you work with a lot of people, okay? So this person could be a little intimidated by the type of opportunities that you have. I'm not saying that you are dipping into all of those opportunities, but I am saying that it can appear chaotic if you're, outside of the bubble, right? Like sometimes these celebrity blah blah blah. Actually, it's very funny. The lady that gave me this cup, her daughter used to work out by all these celebrities out in the shopping districts out in California and stuff. And she would see these celebrities like with no makeup on all the time and all this stuff, because they were just, regular people outside of this, glamour thing, this bubble, right? So she had some interesting stories that she shared about like who was kind of like friendly and maybe not so friendly, like like they hadn't had their morning coffee yet in the store, but anyway, who knows when you're that old and rich, who knows if you even give a crap anymore, like like if they're gonna say something mean, say it about me because I'm old and don't care or something, you know what I mean? I just, and so this kind of attitude, if you have this kind of attitude of like kind of a, you just don't give a rip, a little bit about some of this external noise, this could appear as selfish to some people because they could be like, well, what's the family gonna think if you don't get married and have kids, or if you have kids out of wedlock, or if they don't belong to the same church, or you know what I mean? They some people will call you selfish because you have different ideals or living practices than them, even though you are not hurting anybody and you're not breaking any laws. Okay. They still want to feel some kind of way, and they are entitled to feel some kind of way. You just don't have to prescribe to it, right? So that could be part of this as well. And you could be starting to have a connection that makes you feel like there is more opportunity here, okay? So for those of you that may have been going through a dry spell, or maybe you just haven't felt like dating, you know what I mean? Like I'm online dating currently, you know what I mean? Which I've met some people over the time, and and then sometimes I don't want to, you know what I mean? It's just like, sometimes you date somebody for a little while and then you don't, Anyway, so I feel like for some of you, you could also be using, say, more non-traditional methods than just, like going out to one bar in town and sitting there and like hoping that you run into somebody. You know what I mean? It's just like you're just being, I feel like, more proactive with your time. And that's again why it's coming across as you having more opportunities, just because you're aligning yourself to have more opportunities, right? You're manifesting wisely. So that's the name of the channel, right? Oh, here's the news. The news is in. You have opportunities. Dun dun dun. If you didn't know, right? Sometimes it's like I used to work with this guy, and like, he was always at, the happy hours, and sometimes he helped host the happy hours and stuff. He was very good about that. But I anyway, I think I'm just gonna move on. So I can't remember how I was gonna tie that back in exactly. But yeah, I guess the news was that, I was like, well, what about so and so? And he's like, well, I don't like her though. Isn't that kind of always the people would be like, oh, I'm so bummed about my love life, blah, blah. It's like, well, what about them? They're like, well, what? Like, okay, well, there's an opportunity. You know what I mean? Like, just because it's not already pre-written out with no bumps and bruises and everybody, you know what I mean? Like, there's no sniffles, there's no everything's a little perfect happy ending that never existed anywhere anyway, right? And so then they just don't even take the chance type thing. you know yeah, news is in, we all have more opportunities around us than we're usually willing to admit, right? So and what does this also stand for? North, south, east, and west. Okay. So, maybe maybe like this is one of those things, like you think that you're going to bump into somebody at your workplace and it's like, actually, no. But if you only go to work and home, it's like, when are you going to, what I mean? There's that, it's like a comedian or somebody and they're like, what are they supposed to do? Throw themselves onto the hood of your car? Right? Well, and like the Jerry Seinfeld, he's like, dun dun, he's like honking the horn, dun dun, like he's like, this is what the men have resolved to do, because it was like we don't know what else to do, dun dun, honking the horn. Which, if one of my old coworkers was watching this, he knows this story, because this was like, this was like, I think we had to go into the office to get some stuff. Like, they allowed us to go in and collect some things during COVID, and and somebody like saw me in the office that I didn't know. And I think it was like a contractor. He was like 50 yards away. But I was like the only other person kind of in the building, I was having to be a female, and he's a man, and he's like, hey, he was practically like waving me down, like he hadn't seen anybody in, like one of those, post, sorry, I'm like massaging my back here, but I'm looking kind of weird, you guys. It was like one of those post-apocalyptic type movies, right? When it's like, oh my God, there's some other existence there. But he was kind of like, where, I was like, I'm trying to leave, and he was trying to like, make conversation. Now, I told my coworker later, he was like, well, yeah, he was probably starved for attention. And it was funny, like when I had this appointment with an esthetician, and it was very kind of, it was part of their job to be like, oh, your skin looks great, you know what I mean? Like, but really you could use a cream, right? But anyway, she was super nice, but she was like, oh, really? You're that old? And I was like, yeah. Because when I saw this guy, and I was like, immediately I thought he's like too young for me, like, you know what I mean? Oop, that one flew out. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is kind of what it was. Like, that guy was like, hey, yeah. and it's not like the pick me, but it kind of is the pick me. They're like, yeah, we're here. So the excitement level was definitely there. So again, this like kind of celebration thing has come out, right? So this could be part of the reason why this person wants to pop up on you. They want to like share their intention of wanting to get to know you, to, be less selfish with your time and allow them to have your time type thing, right? Who are your friends? Maybe they want to spend time around like who you're spending time around, so they can be kind of in your like circle or whatever. They may also just want to kind of like know who your friends are, maybe to get a gauge on kind of like your personality or something. You know what I mean? Like, maybe somebody they know like really likes practical jokes and they're like, I wonder if I could do this, if she would appreciate this or not. And maybe they, talk to your friends and they're like, no, don't do that. You know what I mean? So I'm not in the best mental space. So if you're in separation from this person, I feel like this is causing some stress at the moment. Um, Either way, okay. That could be why they're like kind of curious about who you're hanging around and stuff like that. Because if they're not with you, then it's like, then who are you with type thing. And especially if they find you attractive and think that you're capable of, you know what I mean? Either having multiple connections or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like whatever people's minds can conjure up these days, okay? Which, if you want to know the truth, that would put you not in the best mental space, right? Because if you focus on that downward spiral, then it's not necessarily what you're going to manifest, but it's going to maybe delay you from moving past it, I want to say. And I'm not saying like deny things, but I'm just, especially if it's things that like you don't actually, excuse me, you don't actually know. Like, you're saying, oh, well, you can have any man you want, blah, blah. Like oh, well, they must be out there dating. Like, there was some movie that flashed up on the TV and it was like, the sex life of the single mom. And I'm like, it's like, yeah, I mean, I know some single moms, and I mean, I know some that probably could be, whatever, but I mean, a lot of them, I mean, they just, they're not living this weird tawdry fantasy life. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, like I said before, kind of like how the celebrities, you know, they go shopping, they're not putting on a full face of makeup, right? Okay. So, yeah, all that wasted imagination, right, can put somebody not in the best mental space. Like, use it to conjure up something good and positive in your life, right? So, let's continue here. I don't know what year this is, this fish, but Mike Gordon looks very young to me. I wish I could come out and say it. So you could be holding back, or this person could be holding back from you currently, and possibly based upon things that are in their imagination, right? Vacay. Yeah, you may need to take a vacation from thinking about this situation, okay? Whether you're on the thinking end or the receiving end, and you're just like, something feels weird in the energy. Like, don't don't overly engage in it, okay? I'm gonna get into the romance angels here. Because, part of this message here is somebody saying that they want to be serious with you. And I feel like it could be a masculine energy as well that's saying this. So if you're in the collective and a masculine, I feel like this is more geared towards you. And the last few readings have had some masculine energies pop out specifically. So you may want to check the community tab. Unrequited love. Who is this person? There's not enough attraction or chemistry to keep this relationship going. So, whoever this is, if you have an intention towards them, this right now is like, falling flat for whatever reason. Maybe that's what, somebody wants to come out and say. And maybe that's why they want to say, look, there's, you can have anybody else. Like, why are you worried about this one? Because right now there's nothing here. Retreat. It's time to disconnect from the world. What did I say about the vacay thing? Like taking a break from this situation. So, especially if you feel like there's going to be some pop up or something, and maybe it's something that you're not comfortable with, like maybe this is why you want to like do a little bit of a retreat. And if they're curious about your friends too, and it's like, okay, if I go, go to where my friends are at, is this person going to be there? You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Express your love. Go ahead and make the romantic gesture. Okay, so this must definitely be two storylines here because on one side there's this unrequited love where they're saying there's not enough chemistry or attraction. And then on the other side here, this is saying go ahead and make the romantic gesture. So kind of like that there's other fish in the sea, like if there is not that connection happening, right, that's allowing you to celebrate, you may need to be looking, like I was saying earlier, it's like there's opportunities elsewhere, if you've been looking into the north, maybe you need to look west for a moment, right? And then it's like, oh well, I guess there's an opportunity there that I haven't necessarily explored, right? And I think that's kind of what the message is here for you to celebrate that you do have these opportunities. Codependency, addictions are affecting your romantic life. So, if this person is not in the best mental space, it could be because of some codependency issues here. Okay, let's do one more. Deception. Someone is wearing a false self mask in this relationship. So there could definitely be a third party situation here. That could be this unrequited love thing that's happening. Like, they could be like, well, it's just not clicking between me and you or whatever, right? And it's because they have all these other things going on, right? But, sometimes these people, it's like when they're down and out, who do they come calling, right? They might be calling on the collective. Well, this is still trick or treat season. Do you want the trick or do you want the treat? Okay, so I guess just be careful, right? If you feel like somebody is deceiving you, like maybe it's because they are. Okay. um And if that's the case, is that really the person that you want to be expressing your love to, right? So definitely really think about the intention. And if you are confused in any way, definitely like, taking a little vacay, even just for the weekend, whatever it is, um, that should be able to clear your help clear your space and your energy. Okay, let's do a little bit of tarot. Uncle Ed says he's 28 years old and already an uncle. Good for you. I'm gonna go ahead and use the Spirit Halloween deck. This is what the box looks like. So I'm not going to reveal my age at the moment, but I was told today that I appear younger than I am. So, is that healthy living or some some type of revenge? I'm not sure yet, right? But at the end of the day, it's kind of a false mask as well because I mean, like when the end hits, like say me personally, you know what I mean? um, you know, I won't care at that point, right? So, oh boy. This way. See what comes out in the tarot. No. Hang on, guys. Patience. Little patience. Yay. All right. Let's see what comes out now. The Page of Pentacles. So the person that could want you to retreat could be a Page of Pentacles. Okay. This person may appear to you at a party, especially during the Halloween season. Okay. And they could be like, hey, how about you and me? Like, let's go see a quiet spot over here type thing. Just saying. Ace of Cups. Okay. So this person could see that you want to express your love. Whether or not they're the right person to express your love to, you may want to be cautious of that, especially if there is any kind of question. So, like, the thing is, like, this giant whale here, this Ace of Cups, it's so huge, it's so undeniable. Like, you'll know if it's coming from that well-intended space or if they're just kind of treating it like a cash register transaction and then like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll go put my 2 cents in the next thing that I can find, right? Um, yeah. And so if this person doesn't get their way, they may say something to you. They could be like, "Why are you so selfish? Like I'm here trying to love you." And you'd be like, "Well, I mean, that's great that you're on day 1 of doing that, towards you or whoever. But you're like, you know, I still have to go to sleep now and then like, so tomorrow, it's what's that song? Will you still love me tomorrow? Right? It's like they want to come in and do this kind of big thing, right? This big expression. But it's like, is this really who this person is? Because, you know, I don't know, you guys. This is what the tarot is telling me right now. So, Ten of Cups. Wow. A little sea monster out here. Um, mm-hmm. So there may be a lot of also I feel like temptation in the coming days ahead, especially like Halloween party type stuff. Um, and I feel like for many of you, it's going to be like this unrequited love. It's going to be like, oh, that's cute. Thanks for the compliment. But you know what I mean? Like, and for some of you, it could be, simply because you're not open to that. Maybe you are currently, actively dating somebody. Maybe you're in a relationship with somebody, or married or whatever. Like, just because you're out in public doesn't mean you have no relationship commitments, right? So I feel like when this comes towards you, okay, this kind of attraction or something, you may kind of react with like a little bit of a fierceness that's kind of like snappy, like, you know, you might call out the false attention. You know what I'm saying? And like you might tell this person, like, that might work on hookers, but it ain't gonna work on me. Okay. You're just kind of like, yeah, it's a no. Call me tomorrow, though. Okay? Have a good night. Hope you get home safe, right? You know what I mean? And again, this person could then be like, well, why are you so good? Right? And like expect that you're gonna like step in and take care of them because, they're, having this, like they just want you to do this cleanup act here. And that's part of why there's not enough attraction or chemistry, okay? Because either either way, what they're demonstrating towards you is just like, oh, take care of me, right? Um, and you are not attracted to that in the slightest, so you're kind of like, well, what would I tell my little brother? You know what I mean? That's kind of where you start classifying that type of relationship, right? And you're like, look, I think I told you something else, and so maybe you can just work with that for a while, and you know hopefully you get it figured out someday, right? Like, type thing, if that's what it's gonna be. Yeah, judgment here. um I feel like kind of like spiritually speaking, you've reached a level of kind of inner knowing and judgment on the situation where anything that kind of comes up out of these situations, it may be kind of considered old news to you. Where you're like, um, where you're like, oh yeah, I remember when you had that problem. Remember when we were dating and you were addicted to that, and yeah, it didn't work out very well. You know what I mean? You're just, it's like, yeah, I remember, but that doesn't mean you're gonna go back to that. I feel like for a lot of you, you've learned your healthy coping skills, right? Your healthy mechanisms for getting through the day, right? Versus the wanting to rescue somebody energy, right? You could say, well, you're doing tarot reading. Yeah, okay. This is how I'm like helping to contribute to society, right? Um, am I codependent on it? Hopefully, no, right? Because um, I also know that I can't control anybody else out there, right? That's what somebody who is codependent thinks a lot of times too. It's not just the person in trouble, it's the person thinking they can come in and fix it and control things. And then they get dependent on that feeling of control because they're the fixer, you know? So um, any anything that you're kind of still over participating in, overdoing, I feel like the judgment is going to arrive on it. The news is going to be very clear, and it's going to be like, it's almost going to force you, like, almost like you're going to get some publisher's clearinghouse thing in the mail, and it's going to be like, it's time for vacay. You're going because this all is too much, right? It's going to be something like that. Okay. In like a good way, and like in a way that you're going to be able to afford, right? Because it's going to be like publishers clearinghouse style, right? So, this could even be like, like one time I was having a rough time, and it was my friend's birthday coming up on the weekend, and she offered to drive and like to do something out of town, and I was like, okay, I think I can do that. You know what I mean? That was fun. You know what I mean? You get your mind off of, you know, problems and whatnot. You know what I mean? I am going to pull one more card here, but I am just about out of time. So, Page of Swords. This is really interesting. Beware of any news that you might take as gospel when really it's gossip. Okay, so again, especially if you're going to be out over the weekend and, running into folks at Halloween parties and, things like that. Yeah, like, and especially if people are like dressed up in costumes and stuff, you'd be like, oh, did you see so and so and so and so? It's like, yeah, that's like a costume, right? Okay, anyway. Sometimes crazy things happen in the name of entertainment, right? Yeah, some of you as well could be fixated on a Queen of Wands, a fire energy. Uncle Ed says, yes, I will marry you. So whoever Uncle Ed is after, he's ready. But will you run into the tower, right? So there's always that question, will you still love me tomorrow? And that's part of the judgment here that we're kind of all coming up on. And it's not so much the other person, but it's more like that, can you live with yourself the next day type thing. One of my relatives, when she was like with whoever, and she was asking me my opinion, I'm like, you know what? I'm like, first off, I don't even know the guy, right? Like I knew what his career path was and like, some things like this, but I was like, at the end of the day, you're the one who's going to be like sitting, eating dinner together, like, sharing a household. You know what I mean? I was like, I can't tell you if you're going to be happy like that or not. Only you can, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? That was my advice. I'm like, because it's you who has to live with yourself, right? And if you can't live with yourself with this other person, then yeah, you're going to have problems, right? So, starting with yourself, if you can live with yourself day in and day out, right, happily, and through your healing, hopefully, and things like that. So if you're having trouble with your healing, definitely reach out and get help in that. I talked about that in one of my readings the other day. Some people, they don't know how to get help because they are the helper, right? That was in the reading earlier. Like the don't let pride get in your way. Some people who are the doers, they don't know how to ask for help from other people. That's like a codependency thing. Yeah. You're like, what? Yeah, some people are like, what? Yeah, the need to be out there fixing, and the need to prove that they can do this. And yeah. That's why it's okay to just kind of be a beach bum. It's okay. Which I was thinking about that being my costume, my backup costume. We shall see. Anyway, maybe I'll have two costumes. Maybe I'll have a weekend costume and like a day of Halloween costume if my stuff comes in the mail. I hope so. Anyway, and when in doubt, I don't know, listen to some live concerts like by Fish on YouTube, like I have here in the background. Get yourself in a good mood. So, I hope nobody is overly deceived through Halloween here, and this is only just a mask that people are wearing in costume and in the spirit of fun, right? Okay. So, until next time, please do manifest wisely. Bye bye.